here in the aardvark file and also in the baboon file. So if I chose to, I can certainly go in here and I can modify the snippet. So we can open the snippet file and go off and do whatever we need to do. But I'm going to just double click on it here. And type in some additional information. Once I do this, I'll save the snippet. Hello. Save. We will wait patiently. I have noticed that GoToWebinar in particular actually really does slow things down. And here we are, and we have our new danger with the updated version of the information. And if we look in Baboon, we have that same snippet right there. So snippets work completely as you would expect from a Flare point of view. Now, I need to talk a little bit about snippets and how they work from an XML point of view, because there is something a little funny going on here. In my original aardvark file, so this is my XML aardvark file, here, now remember this is the original note because I'm back in the files that I have not modified. My note of type danger has an ID on it that says no feeding, do not feed animals, snacks, scraps, or people food, end note. In the baboon file, we have actually a reference to the aardvark file. So if I open up baboon, which is apparently not cooperating, interesting. It's really just not a demo until something has broken. All right, so we're going to open up baboons. And in the baboon file, if you look at the original source down here, you'll see a note of type danger with a conref, and that is the reference over to the snippet, aardvark.xml pound aardvark no feeding. Now, here's the issue. In XML, or in DITA, the conref points directly to another file. So the baboon file references the aardvark file and references just a small portion of the aardvark file. When I bring that information over to Flare, Flare creates a separate instance of the snippet. So on the XML side, I have two instances of the snippet, the source instance and the referenced instance. Whereas in Flare, I have three instances of the snippet itself and two references to it. Now, I'm not totally sure what this means. I don't know that this will actually break anything, but it is, somewhat of concern. I look at this and I wonder, because they're not exactly equivalent, what might happen if I have some very complicated kinds of things going on in there. So it does seem to work fine, and I'm not worried about that, but I am a little concerned about, what might happen there. So just something to be aware of. Now, I wanted to go back and let me close some of these files that I have open, because I want to open up a DITA map that contains references to other DITA maps and show you what happens when you do this. So I am going to start another project. And in this particular project, I'm going to use a different DITA map. The one I have here is called Two Topic Refs, Two Maps. What we've done here is we've built a map file that points to both animal nutrition and also visitor behavior. So it points to what amount to sub-TOCs. When I do this, and I run through this, and I have to create a second demo, what's going to happen is that it will correctly render my two tables of contents, or actually my three tables of contents. But it decides that animal nutrition is the master TOC, which is incorrect. The second one there, the two topic refs, should be the master TOC. We're not totally sure why this is. We think perhaps it assumes that the first alphabetical DITA map is actually the correct one. I don't know if that's the case, but that's my best guess at this point. So I'm going to say, no, you are the master TOC, and that will then take care of the problem. But it is a little strange because Flare is not recognizing the hierarchy that's going on here. So once we're in here, then all the other files come back, and I do have a couple of additional ones, and that seems to sort of do its thing. So that is okay. But there are just some very strange kind of oddities that we get when we import. Now, I'm not picking on Flare. This is pretty much true anytime you do any sort of import like this. What's happening is that Flare, the document model that Flare has, the model that Flare has for creating content and managing various bits and pieces of content, is not really compatible with the DITA model, the DITA document model. So the two document models don't quite match up. And so when we try and bring stuff in and do stuff, it has to make some assumptions, it has to do some mapping, it has to do some various things, and it just doesn't quite work. Or it works in ways that are somewhat unexpected, maybe. All right, so let's take a look here at a couple of other things. I have a file here called adults. Adults are advised to stay with their children at all times. Inside children, we do have an href over to children.htm, which was something like children.xml. Those hrefs are going to work just fine. So they are, in fact, rendered correctly and will come out as links, and they will work, and it started out as a link over on the DITA side. The children file has, for more tips, visit Zoo Rules. And if you take a look at this one, it has an href on it that points out to a sort of, random location on the web. That link here does render correctly. However, there is with sort of one caveat. So this link will render, but by default in DITA, when you have an external link, like for example an href, those are supposed to open up in a new window, and that does not occur when we render this out through Flare. There may be a way to configure it to do that, but it probably should default to it correctly. The general rule coming out of DITA is that external links should launch a new window. The default in Flare is not to do so, and you have to do it explicitly. So again, not necessarily a problem or a bug, but something that just works a little bit differently. So let's take a look here, and oh, how convenient. Somebody asked me about conditional text, which is what I want to talk about next. So conditional text on the XML side, let's take a quick look at it on the XML side. So in XML, you typically would use attributes to specify an audience. So for example here, I have a concept, which is the baboon concept, which is a topic, which has an audience of employees. So this is an employee-only topic. And so I have audience equals employees. Having brought this into Flare, and we look at aardvark, you'll notice, first of all, it's color-coded blue, which indicates some conditionality going on there. And if we look in the project organizer under conditional text, we do in fact have audience and let's see, audience, which could be employees or visitors. And here we have the backgrounds that are set for that. So employees are blue, visitors are red. And if we go back and look at our Content Explorer, you'll see that I do have quite a few of these. So this one, for example, has been set to visitors only. Okay. So the condition tags are